Hey guys, Shawsy Phillips here, and welcome to part 3 of the new Q&A series. I'm just going to get right on with it. Probably end up going, probably as long as I did last time, maybe not as long, it just sort of depends, and I always do them in one take. So if anything major interrupts them, that's the end of the video. See, the first question was, hey Sean, would you want to see the Stephen King's It remake? Well, I want to say about that, hopefully Tim Curry ends up being okay, because I know he had a stroke, and they said he's doing better, but, to me, that's it, you know what I mean? He's Pennywise, you know what I mean? I've talked about that before, but besides all that, I really do hope he's all right. He's one of my favorite character actors. Who is your favorite horror movie slasher? I guess slasher character. I don't know. To me, sometimes I end up liking the weirder characters. You know what I mean? The lesser known ones. Some other things Sleepaway Camp. Angela. Some other kind of lesser known ones, but if you're talking about the real main ones, between Freddy and Jason, I think the Friday the 13th movies kind of they're all sort of hit and miss with some of them. Some of them were just not as good. Most of the Nightmare on Elm Streets were really pretty good for the most part. They kind of had rocky points, but with the Friday the 13th, they were all pretty good. But some of them were way better than others, especially the newer ones aren't as good. Some of those last ones, Jason Goes to Hell, and when it comes to the last of the original series. Has there ever been a movie that disturbed you or given you nightmares? Maybe if I watched a horror movie when I was a kid, when I was younger. But I don't think I've seen anything in a long time. I remember when I saw years and years ago, maybe 5th grade or 6th grade, on HBO or something, I saw Clockwork Orange. And at that point, I had never seen a movie like that, that kind of intense of a movie like that. And I remember that movie pretty much kind of creeped me out. And I also, years ago when I used to, walk, go to the movies, and I lived near a theater and I walked to it and stuff, when I was if I saw a horror movie after that and I was walking home, sometimes I'd feel kind of creeped out. And also, I think the Final Destination movies were always the kind of movies, too, that kind of creep you out from doing certain things. If you're on the highway and you see a thing with those, one of those things carrying all those wood things, or, with airplanes. My least favorite one to watch is the first one, because I really don't like it kind of creeping me out about flying. So it's not, I don't know, there's those kind of movies, though, that kind of creep you out on every level about doing things. You know what I mean? It's that kind of a thing. Have you ever acted in any porn films? If so, no, I've never acted in any porn films. Haven't gotten to the point where I'm oh, I gotta do that. But I really don't see myself ever doing, fat guy that, porn films. Why does Revo have a sense of style, but you dress like a bum? Well, I don't know. I guess my sense of style is having no sense of style. And, having the same kind of look forever. Kind of like Pee-wee and stuff. I've always kind of been like that. In movies and stuff, I have a different look, though. Unless they don't have, wardrobe for it, then I just wear my old shit. I like it when people act genuine video blogs. What's your opinion of when Brendan acts all silly to entertain his fans? Well, I think he sometimes does that more than others, and I think, more if he's with Gabe and stuff. But, to me, I kind of just like being the way I am. You know what I mean? But I don't think there's anything wrong with that, having kind of a way you act in some things. But certain situations, though, I don't think it's a good thing. Certain times it fits more than others. How many movies do you own? That I never know. I always say I need to do a video when I actually go through, and David Sterling says that too, go through and count every movie one at a time. If anyone's thinking about the hat being backwards, this camera that this webcam on the photo booth thing, because I use that because it's the easiest to do these, it flips it. Have you ever walked out of a movie? I think as a kid I remember walking out of Twister, because I remember it was they had the volume up so loud. I don't think I had ever seen a movie that was that loud in my life. So because of the volume, when the Twister scenes were coming, the speakers were blown so much, your ears were about to explode. And I had only ever had sound that loud, except one other time when I was at a I've been to concerts and things like that, never as loud as at a assembly they had in the high school I was in, about not doing drugs. And for some reason we got stuck being in the front, maybe 3 or 4 rows back. from the speaker. So it's kind of like the speaker and me. And it was so loud that the whole room was vibrating. And I could not hear for probably a week later. My hearing was muffled. And I said to the teacher afterwards, I said, this assembly makes me want to do drugs. And I almost got sent to the office for saying that. And I was really mad. I like complained to everybody about that because I could not. It blew. I don't know if anyone else had their ears blown out, but I had never experienced something so loud in my entire life. I mean, it was. And I'm telling you, I've sat in concerts when in the past, I've been to one a long time, but when I was very close to speakers, never had anything been as loud as that was. But other movies I think I walked out of Armageddon because I didn't care for it, or I think that was another one I saw when I was in like the 6th grade or something, and I remember I didn't know it was as long as it was, so I was and that was back before cell phones, so I was kind of like, oh, my parents are gonna wonder where the hell I am, so I went and called them, and I'm like, fuck it, I'm going home, so I left, and I think I also walked out as a child of Fantasia, because I didn't understand because as a kid I didn't understand what it was, because I kept going back to the orchestra stuff, and I think I also walked into Dick Tracy because I threw up on the seats. It wasn't like I wanted to, because I threw up on the seats. What movie is your biggest guilty pleasure? I don't know about movie, like what one movie, but a lot of like some movies where it's like so beyond bad it's good. Like those kind of movies sometimes are my favorites. Like, movies like Troll 2 and that kind of stuff where it's absolutely horrible. The acting is horrible, things like that. But it's such a fun movie to watch. And there's a lot of movies that every so often I love to find those kind of movies that are that awful. A lot of them are from the 80s. And especially like some shot on video stuff and things like that. What past horror film franchises do you think they should remake or make a sequel to? I don't know for past, I always thought The Burning one would have been cool to do like a sequel to that. They could do it like Reborn or something other thing, but I don't know what other like franchises. I mean, maybe I'd like to see another Hills Have Eyes, maybe, if they kind of, I don't know. I thought the Hills Have Eyes first remake was good. If they kept it kind of more like that, I'd watch another one of those. I would watch another one of the Friday the 13th remake to see if they could do a better job than the last one. I'm actually surprised that they haven't done one yet set at the camp. I think that would have been a far cooler setting to, put it in the camp, and because there hasn't been too many of those summer camp slasher movies in a long time. And I'm sure it's because like a little bit they're harder to do, especially you got to kind of have the kids older, because like a lot of that stuff with the amount of times kids can work in movies. And back then, I don't know how strict it was as opposed to now. So maybe that's why they don't want to deal with like a whole group of all these kids that can only work so many hours and stuff. I mean, that's why like even if you look at like some of the summer camp movies, they always focus on the older counselors so much more. Let's see, what was the first movie you were in? The first movie it was in was Banshee, and that was kind of filmed. And it was filmed in Connecticut and done kind of like a video blog. It was like the ending of the movie. They had an ending, but they didn't like it the way it ended, so they wanted to shoot something new for it. So we got up there and like held the camera, and the one guy held the camera and then filmed us. I don't want to ruin what happens if you haven't seen the movie, but it was kind of like a different ending to kind of extend it a little bit. That was the first one, and the second one right after that was the Soul of the Sasquatch one. But that one's actually still on Netflix if you haven't seen that. I've always been a fan of that one. The funniest thing with that movie was seeing Joe Rogan like drunk tweeting or something, like making all these tweets about it, which I thought was kind of cool. And I said to him, well, thanks for watching. He actually got back to me. And I don't know, I thought that was kind of funny that he was watching that when it was on one night. Now you've been acting for a long time, clearly dedicated. Would you ever try to make it in Hollywood? Also, you remind me of so much of John Candy whenever I see you acting. Well, thanks about that. I mean, I'm doing stuff. I mean, I'm trying to do everything. You know what I mean? Like sometimes people with horror movies and stuff, they think like, I don't want to do other types of stuff. I'm fine with doing all kinds of different things. I kind of just right now work with what I know. You know what I mean? Meet people and know. You know what I mean? Just work with a group of people that I know and in the area that I know, and trying to kind of like I said before, and things to kind of get known as much as I can, like in the indie and the horror world and things like that. And it's not that big, the horror world, which is surprising. So that's what I'm trying to do, and at least for now. What do you like better, The Golden Girls or I Love Lucy? To me, I mean, I watch The Golden Girls sometimes, but I watched I Love Lucy as a kid. I actually used to have the tapes of it, the old tapes when it was like 3 episodes. So that was what I always watched. And I have the DVDs of it now. I think I have most of the seasons of it. But that was way. I would totally pick more of that. Um, Favorite sweet, probably like I don't know what those things are, like those ball things, like lint or something, I think, with peanut butter in them. That thing, what's your biggest fear? I don't know what like biggest fear is. Maybe like I guess everyone would say like death and things like that, and like scary looking people like that look like they might kill you. I guess like that, or like having like a Hills Have Eyes situation happen to me or something like that. Have you ever done drugs? No, I actually haven't. I mean, people would say like if you drank beer or liquor or something, and I don't do that very much. And when it comes to like drugs, I would never see myself doing anything at all. Married marijuana. It's like I've never actually been offered it. It's not even like considered that bad here. So like that's the only thing that if I ever did something, I'm not even going to say yes or no to it, but I'll wink, possibly. That's why Amanda Bynes, when people are saying, well, she's not admitting to, having a bong in the house and stuff. Well, it wouldn't be smart for her to admit that because, as far as I know, it's not legal and it's punishable by jail and things like that in, New York. So she would want to deny it. Um, what's your favorite Leonardo DiCaprio movie? Well, the one that I really like, it's not his best movie, but for some reason it's always been like one of my favorites. Like when I think of him, it's one that I really really like, and it's The Beach. And I know some people really hate that movie. Maybe I've always had like a secret dream for like a week at the most of going to like a beach place like that. I don't know why. I've always like wanted to do that kind of thing, but I'm sure it would be a nightmare. I would have like 6 million mosquito bites, probably drop dead from like some disease or something. um, what do you think of August Underground? Yeah, I've watched some of their things. I have had no, you know, I don't know. Like I don't like the real, the realistic thing that much. It's not really my thing. It's not really something I really like to watch too much. Um, what's your opinion on both Camera Runs and Smoking the Bandit? Favorite gangster film? I haven't watched too many gangster films, but probably like Dick Tracy. Even though that's sort of like sort of a silly one. But Cannibal Run, for some reason, I don't feel like I've really watched those fully. I know I've seen clips of them. Same with Smoking the Bandit. I don't know why. Like there's some movies that I guess it's because when they were kind of like just came out the tape and things like that. I wasn't really watching that kind of stuff at the time, and then I like just never got around to watching them. Um, I really respect your knowledge about films, etc. Keep posting. Anyway, my question is, what is your favorite all actor, director, and why? Also mention specific film by he, she. Like director, I don't know. Like there's been people like who lately, I've been really liking. Like I like Ty West movies lately. His horror movies. And then like I just kind of like discover people a lot lately. I've realized too that so many of my favorite actors are dead too. It's when I actually take time to think about it. Like some of the top ones are gone, like John Candy, Chris Farley. Just so many people that I've really loved. It's too bad how few are left. And there's something about like people like Robert De Niro and stuff. There aren't too many people like that left that are like classics that are really really believably good. You know what I mean? It's kind of too bad. Are you looking forward to Insidious 2? Yeah, I'm really jealous because Brendan got to see an early screening of it. I don't think he wasn't allowed to talk about it, but I mentioned it. But he got to see an early screening of it, which I was like, I wish I would have gone up to see that. It was kind of one of those ones where you don't know which one you're seeing. But I'm really looking forward to that. Um, and I am glad that they're doing another one. What movie are you most looking forward to seeing this year and why? Um, well, some of the ones coming up that I want to see, I really am looking forward to seeing The Conjuring. I think that looks interesting. I kind of trying to think of a spoof for that one, for the intro. This might be, instead of the claps, it might be farts. I don't know. I'm trying to think of what would be really ridiculous. The best spoof I've thought of so far is or two, for the Heat and for Carrie. That's why people ask me about those openings to things. I try and do them when I can think of something worth doing. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to just throw something up. You know what I mean? Unless they're really good. Um, but like that, I'm looking forward to the new movie from the guy from District 9. I'm not a huge fan of Matt Damon, but still, I really like District 9 and thought that was, for a movie that was all CGI like that, which I don't normally love those kind of things, I was surprised with how much I did like that. Did you hear about the cross-eyed teacher who lost his job because he couldn't control his pupils? Because she couldn't control her pupils? No, I didn't know about that. Um, how do you feel about American Horror Story? You should give it a chance. Yeah, my dad really likes it. My mom likes it. I have not watched it for some reason. When I think we have the Blu-ray, the first one, so it's kind of like it's hard to find the time to invest in a lot of shows. It's just a pain, you know what I mean? I wish I had more time, but like it's like I watch a couple things. I've kind of lost interest though in, Storage Wars and that, because I don't know, it's kind of jumped the shark, that show. And Pawn Stars is gonna be coming back with that new theme, which I don't know if it really is a big deal. I'm just kind of wondering what in the world, new theme. You know what I mean? Like when you think of like shows like that, they never really change it. Um, what is your average day like? Kind of like depends differently. Like if I'm out doing, the videos, or a lot of times it's like thinking about the videos and thinking about, planning on watching the stuff too and making sure get everything done. And coming up, there's going to be so many movies coming out in the theaters, and it's also like trying to think lately how I'm going to put them up. You know what I mean? So people see them. Because if you put them up two right after each other, but like there's some weeks coming up, I've seen a lot of people talking about this too. This is going to be like one of the busiest um, summers for movies. Like there's a lot of stuff coming out. Like there's unbelievable amounts of, and I can't try and like do the updates on like, always on Saturday mornings. Every other week. So it's kind of like trying to do them all these things at certain times. But like if it's like a Tuesday, I get up. Like I said too, I'm usually up late watching things. If it's like a Tuesday, get up and do the stuff. And I pretty much go out every single day. If it's like just to do something little, whatever, that kind of stuff. Um, do you miss Maryland? What do you think life would be like if you stayed instead of moving to California? I don't know, because I really don't know. It's like I don't really know what would have happened if I stayed there. Um, People asking how tall I am and what do I weigh. Well, I'm 6'2", and a lady never says their weight. Um, are you? What is your favorite and least favorite movie starring Keanu Reeves and Nicolas Cage? Well, Keanu Reeves, my favorite movies are the Bill and Ted films, and then probably River's Edge. Nicolas Cage, I don't know. Like, there's so many like I like some of those ones where he's really over the top too. I love that thing of Nicolas Cage. Nicolas Cage loses his shit. That video, I like that thing. Not the Beast, but for him, I always think of Face Off a lot. He's been in better stuff than that, but I always like that one. Um, what is your favorite horror movie? Probably Return of the Living Dead. Like when I really think about it, that's one that I can watch again and again. Like that's kind of how I judge. Like my favorites is like stuff that I can watch again and again, and like it's like some of my favorite ones are not necessarily like the greatest movies ever made, but just like I always kind of judge, like I said, more on things that you can watch again and again. What was your favorite horror movie to act in? I don't know. I feel like um, probably Haunted High, just because I really liked what I did in that, and the fact that and I also in the Ghost Shark, which is going to be in July. I was doing all kinds of stuff in the water and riding a jet ski and just stuff that I don't normally do. So I always kind of like when you get to do something you don't normally do and like things like that. Um, Sometimes people say odd questions. What was the most messed up movie you've ever seen? I don't know. Like The Human Centipede 2, but this is worse than that. But and that one too, that autopsy, not that one with the kind of like the autopsy guy on the cover, Aftermath. I remember when I first saw those were pretty screwed up. Any more movies coming up on Sci-Fi? Yeah, July is the Ghost Shark movie, and that should be a good one. It's got Richard, the guy who was in. He's a bunch of different stuff. Like I'm trying to think, Night Court, the real tall guy, and Mackenzie Rousman, from Seventh Heaven. Um, but that should be a really pretty cool one. I'm really looking forward to that night. I'll let you guys know too when there's a trailer that that's public and things like that. But the trailers for that is really pretty cool. I think it's gonna be pretty decent. I've always wanted to do too like a shark movie. And I actually am kind of like really scared of sharks. So actually getting this water thing and actually do it. A lot of it was added in later, but still just so there actually is apparently sharks where I was. So or could be. So that was kind of like there wasn't a lot of. It wasn't hard to be afraid of being in there. Even sometimes if I'm in really deep pools, I'm like, especially as a kid, I remember there's one pool that was like 12 feet deep where the Olympic champion Michael Phelps used to always practice. Yes, I actually went to school with him, but where he ended up practicing, I used to always get paranoid there was like a shark or something in that because it was so deep. Like that show on TV when they all jump off the diving board splash, I don't think I could ever do that. I'd be like Mr. Bean on the top of the diving board, afraid of doing it. Hey man, I love your videos, updates. Question, who is your all-time favorite character from a horror genre? This could be a villain, monster, hero, anyone. Like some standout ones to me are like, I think of like who really stands out. Like Michael Berryman really stands out as creepy in, The Hills Have Eyes. Um, I really like the daddy character, line daddy character from People on the Stairs. They're very creepy characters. I know they're kind of the same ones that they played in Twin Peaks, but they were very creepy. Like I said, I like a lot of those kind of like weirder, lesser known characters and things like that. We're looking forward to Sin City 2, Machete Kills. Oh, definitely Machete Kills. Sin City 2, I'll see that. I haven't watched the first Sin City in a long time though. Hey, do you know if you're a video game freak? Like, are you a player? Do you own PS3? Well, I have a PS3 that I use for Blu-ray, but I haven't, like I said in the last Q&A, I don't really play too many games. Did you see 42? Oh, if you mean movie 42, the baseball movie, or is that the movie 43? Well, I didn't see the baseball one. I did see the spoof movie 43. That I don't know. Do you think that you are in a medical marijuana state and that for the best marijuana will you ever try it? Well, I am in that. I don't know. I really don't know. Like I was in one situation where like I breathed it in and it was like all in the situation. I remember I was kind of really peculiar acting like out of it. It was like kind of secondhand. So I don't know. I feel like it probably wouldn't do much of anything for me. And I don't need to get the munchies. So for God's sakes, I don't need that. You know what I mean? Do you prefer modern or old school horror movies? Well, I prefer, the old stuff. Do you enjoy 3D movies? It depends with 3D stuff. Like, I think animated films are some of the best things in 3D. But the new Star Trek looked very good in 3D. I like when they kind of have stuff like when they kind of use it like a little bit and like have like sparks and things like that come out. It is sometimes feel kind of weird sitting in the theater with these glasses on. There's just something kind of weird about that. Just you just sort of feel like a bit like a fool sometimes, like sitting there. We all have glasses on. I don't know. It's just something about it, like I'm sitting there going, "Where are these glasses?" I'm sure you get this question a lot, but will you ever do a Don and Murph again? I know you and MJ aren't friends anymore, but maybe you could continue Don character and have Brendan do something. Um, I know I've talked about that in the past. Like, I don't know. Like I'm like I said, I'm starting up the skit stuff again. Opening videos and stuff, but it's not really the Don character. I don't know. I mean, I really don't. It would take a lot of casting to really, truthfully. I would like to have a Murph character, and I would have to figure out, who could do that, and who was kind of similar. What's your favorite horror film? I mentioned that. Did you ever watch Captain EO? No, Captain N. I was the dyslexic. Captain N and the Game from the Master, 89. No, I don't think I've seen that. You mentioned in an interview you would like to do a drama. What kind of character would you like to play in a drama film? Um, I don't know. I kind of like to do like, I don't know, just something more serious. You know what I mean? Like, I'm totally not opposed to doing something very different, like that kind of a thing. Or maybe like the killer character or something like that. Like, I don't know. I just would like to kind of like the challenge of doing something very different. What was your favorite character from the Popples? I don't lie. I don't remember the names. I just remember kind of a lot of those shows. I don't remember the character names. Are you looking forward to Man of Steel? I mean, the trailer to it looks very good. I mean, it's not one that. There's other things that I'm really looking forward to more than that, though. Have you ever seen Twin Peaks and are you a David Lynch fan? I have. I always love the one movie theater I go to. They don't always, but like every couple months they have like a music thing. They switch back and forth. And sometimes I'm in there and they're playing the Twin Peaks theme. You can tell no one else knows what it is, and I'm like, I don't know. I always like that. I'm going to college for film, especially editing. I was wondering what are the next steps in college to get a job in the industry. For editing, that I don't know. I'm not too sure like what the steps are to go to get like editing. I would say I don't know. I can't lie. I don't know too much. Having previously doing a national diploma in media and film college from 16 to 18 before moving on to graphic design and photography. Oh, this is a response to that. Have you ever watched Beavis and Butthead? I have, and I really did like the new one, which I kind of. It's too bad when they brought it back on MTV that was kind of just like a one season thing. I thought they were going to do two. I really do still hope that they end up doing more of them. Um, have you ever seen the movie Let's Scare Jessica to Death? It's an odd film, but I liked it. No, I liked that one a lot. Rocky Horror, Grease, definitely Rocky Horror. Never really got into Grease. I remember they used to play music from it in school, and for some reason, like that kind of turned me off from wanting to watch it. Is the new Evil Dead any good, and should I get excited about it? No, I like the new Evil Dead. I'm definitely looking forward to watching it again on Blu-ray. How was your high school career? Wow, high school career. Well, I don't know. I would say more of that like an experience. Um, I don't know. High school is better than middle school, but I'm not gonna lie. I don't really look back on it at all anymore. Like, cause I don't think, and like a lot of the stuff that I learned, like the math stuff, and like so much of it, I never used it. The only class that I got anything out of, and he passed away, which was really too bad. Mr. Lyford's class, and he was actually the star of the movie the Fiend and things like that. He was kind of what got me watching things like the movie called Fiend, and then this other kid that I was in school with then kind of got me to watch like a lot of weird, obscure movies. And because of him seeing those movies, that's what kind of got me into the thinking that I could probably do something like that. Um, how old were you when you started watching horror films? I think I watched horror movies even as a kid, but I was only allowed to watch like the Universal Monsters movies, and like this is when I was like way like 5, 6. I really liked because I used to always go down the horror section and look at the titles and things like that. Like I kind of love. That's why if I go anywhere and see like old DHS of horror movies, I'm not really intending to buy them. It's kind of just more like a kind of a flashback for me to see the tapes again and see those boxes because I distinctly remember going down that aisle like I was in one store and they had all the old Star Trek Next Generation big boxes that were from like the 80s or early 90s. Like those are a total flashback to me too because I remember in Blockbuster they had like a whole section of just that. Like it was like and it was I can't believe when you think about they actually took up the amount of space on the shelf that they did because it was like one whole row of Star Trek because it was one episode on each tape. Which when you think about it now, it's like wow. You know what I mean? When people had like a series of shows, when you bought them all back then, I can't even imagine the amount of space it took up. When now it's like one season is like, a little case like that. One season back then would be like a whole row. It's just when you think about it, it's interesting. However, when you started collecting, I started buying stuff a lot, in Suncoast when I was a kid, and I used to get like go on Fridays a lot, like my parents and things like that. And I was like allowed to spend like $20 on Fridays. It was like the main time I would buy something. So I used to always love to find stuff cheap. You know what I mean? Like stuff on sale when there was like $6.99 or $9.99 at at Suncoast, or especially like Kmart, because they used to have like they were pretty crappy quality, but the Good Times films, and they were all pretty cheap. And I remember I first got like Funhouse like that, um, Halloween 3 like that. And then, but sometimes those really cheap tapes, if anyone remembers this, they used to actually cut them. Like Magic was edited. Cujo, for some reason, one of the releases of Cujo might have been released from like a Christian company or something, and they edited out all the bad words. It was really weird. It was like, come over here, you. It was all like that. And I was like, what? So that was one thing I remember used to really upset me along with those tapes. Have you ever seen Battle Royale films? I liked the first one. The second one, didn't care too much for that. Have you seen any British classic powwow or passenger films like Matter of Death and Black Narcissus? No. If you could go back in history, who would you like to meet? I don't know. I would be more interested in like going into the future, like Back to the Future. I'd be interested in seeing like how things are in the future. But like if I went back in time, I don't know. Maybe it'd be kind of cool to go back in time and like weasel my way into a movie back then. Like a classic thing, and then like weird people out. The fact that there was this person who was like had this real tiny, what I mean? Like I don't know. It's always thought I would kind of weird to do something like that. It's like, wait a minute, what? What I mean? Like who knows? Maybe we watched a movie, and thousands of years in the future, someone has done that. What I mean? You never know. Probably not though. What are some movies you would like to see come to Blu-ray? I don't know. Like there's just a lot of ones that have yet to come out. They're kind of cool to get people under the stairs, which I have a feeling, because I saw something about a post about Wes Craven doing a commentary. I'm thinking maybe he's doing it for that. That Scream Factory I think posted. So I'm wondering if maybe that could possibly be one that they were putting out. But I don't know. I'm thinking it could also be Shocker, because I know Scream Factory's been getting a lot of Universal titles, but that one is a Universal. People under the stairs. Pet Sematary 2, I still hope comes to Blu-ray, and Ghostbusters 2. There's a lot of things. There's a lot of things too that still haven't come to DVD. I'd like to know what size TV you have. My second question: have you seen any Takashi Miike movies? I have. I've seen Audition. I know that's why everyone says they've seen. I know I've seen some other ones though. The TV size, I think it's like 50 inches, something like that. Looking into getting into acting, any suggestions where to begin? I would say, just kind of a good thing to do is like look at someone like Brendan Hardesty, who did those things where he would kind of reenact scenes from movies. I think that's a good thing to do. Videotape it and just kind of get yourself kind of playing a character and get some little examples and stuff, because especially if you haven't done anything before, just so you can show people and things like that. And, look for, and, castings and things like that. I got into it so many weird kind of backdoor, but I would say too, decide too if you want to get into like background stuff at first. Like to me, that's not my thing at all. But some people like don't mind doing that for a while. They're an extremely rare, ludicrously expensive edition of a video that you would love to own or always on the lookout for. Like I didn't get, the Fright Night Blu-ray that came out. That would be one I would love to find. I'd love to find Freeway 2 DVD, Amityville Dollhouse. There's a bunch of these ones that, Brennan showed like some of them too. Like I didn't have. I know Body Bags. So I have that, but that's coming to Blu-ray soon. There's just a couple things like that, like just real. A lot of them really out of print. You know what I mean? Like they're really high priced. I would love to find, and I had it, but I don't know where I did with it. The Christmas Wonder Years, because I know that's a seriously valuable one. Just some of that kind of stuff. May you please say Zach and Jesper for life? Also, what are some movies you starred in? Probably going to get the question a lot. Um, the ones like for starring, I would say Ghostquake or On It High. I would always say Ghostquake because that's the one like it always plays it with that name, everywhere besides America. So when I look on Twitter to see people talking about it, people always talk about it with the Ghostquake. It's just crazy to see people in like South Africa and South America and all over the place, talking about it. So and I always like say something to them if they like it. If they don't like it, I don't say a thing. Um, Other ones, I'm not in it as much for the Ghost Shark movie. Probably like half of what I had in the other one. Um, Other ones for starred. I think those are the main starring ones. Like that, those are ones I would say for sure to watch. The Sasquatch movie I'm in throughout. A lot of movies I'm in it throughout it, but not like tons of stuff. Are there any extremely rare? Oh, I said that. What do you think of the new Nickelodeon channel and Disney Channel? I don't really watch those at all. Like, I can't really remember the last time that I watched Nickelodeon or the Disney Channel. How did you and Wet Willie meet? Pretty much just YouTube because we started talking on YouTube, and then now we know each other so much better than we did. But I remember like the first time we met at Comic-Con, like we had a whole plan. This is back when you could still get the tickets because Brendan always has a hard time getting the tickets. If anyone has any tickets for Brendan, let him know. But he always has a hard time getting the tickets now. But I mean, I remember we met up the one time. I remember it was like so weird to meet him for the first time because like at that point I really never met anyone from I met online, YouTube or anything. So it's just kind of like weird to see somebody that you watch and then meet them. But that was pretty much just how I met. And then every time I came back to San Diego, I would always meet him at the convention. And then we did some little shorts and stuff like his Night Owls movies. Message him about them if you haven't seen those before. We did like Night Owls 3. I think it was 3 and then 5. Yeah. And then now since I live here, but a lot of people think we're real close. No, he's in. It's about a 3-hour train. It's about 2.5 hours to drive. So we only can see each other every so often. Favorite movie I acted in, I talked about that. Do you like Sleepaway Camp movies? I do. No, I really like those movies. What do you think about the planned sequels to Independence Day? I don't know. I kind of feel like that might be a little late. You know what I mean? Like, it was so long ago. So I don't know. I feel about the death of Richard Brooker. I think I've seen him at some of the conventions. It's always sad when anybody dies, but I had personally met him though. Have you ever wanted to read a novel after watching a film? Not too much. Sometimes I don't have the patience as much as I wish I did to read stuff. Always been more of a visual person, like to watch the stuff. Have you had any contact with the Unmentionable One recently? Are your DVD shopping videos going to be the only around the towns you plan on doing? For the around the town thing, probably I mean, when I go to conventions, I film around the towns. But to me, like that's the main stuff I do is when I go out, and I also go out just do little stuff like that wouldn't really make a video. You know what I mean? Wouldn't make a cohesive or even interesting video to watch. Like just some regular simple stuff. That's why when I do family video around the towns and stuff, I kind of just try and do it when we're doing something like Disney or a theme park or something like that, where it's something a little bit different. But for contact with him, no. And I think his, Facebook is gone now too. So I don't lie, I have not really spoken on the phone since April of 2012. I think that's when it was. Yeah, something like that. So I had text. The text came back when I texted him. We shouldn't. I don't know. I've talked about that. Please get Brendan to make another Night Owls movie. Would be awesome to see you in a new short with Swap Meet Searcher, Leslie, and Joe Kill. Now that'd be cool to do something like that for sure. What's your opinion on the movie Drive by Nicholas Winding Refn. I like Drive a lot. What reboot do you think they should haven't done, considering there were so many remakes? With remakes, though, I don't really think they should ever really be doing them. But I don't know. I feel like the ones that they shouldn't do, I really hope they don't do, is Back to the Future. Like, that's one that I hope that they did it, nobody goes and watches it, because there's some movies that are so beyond perfect that, with all the casting and the characters, that I really don't see how they could ever do it. There's some movies that kind of can get remade because the original wasn't. I always, like, some people say this too, remake the crappy movies, the crappy horror movies, and kind of try and get it right. Now I'd be interested in seeing a remake of Troll 2, how that would go. Besides movies, what other things do you like to buy? I don't buy. I mean, I used to buy a lot of like toys from movies and stuff like that, but they don't make too many anymore. Like, there's not a lot of, like, McFarlane used to make a lot of horror toys, and it was like Horror Maniacs or something like that that made like a lot of movie toys and things like that. But you know what I mean? Like, there's not as much of that stuff to buy. I'd love to know your thoughts on From Dusk Till Dawn, Fright Night, Lost Boys. If you know any movies like these, I just watched Dusk Till Dawn today. Was blown away by how good it was. Can't wait to hear your thoughts. No, Dusk Till Dawn, I really like that one. I don't know if I've ever actually watched the sequels to those ones, but the Dusk Till Dawn's a very good one. And I don't love, George Clooney all the time, but that was one of the ones I thought he was good in. But I really, really like the Lost Boys. The sequels to those, though, yeah, I don't know, they're just all right. But the original Lost Boys is just a perfect movie. That's another one I do not want to see a remake of that. Other movies that are like vampire movies or things like that. There's that other one, Near Dark, which is a really pretty good one. Really like the one kid, Joshua Miller. It's kind of that that weird kid from River's Edge and stuff like that. He was in that too, and he's also in the Hollow Heads. He had a pretty cool part in that, and I like the stuff in that with like blacking out the windows and things like that. Have you ever heard of the Disney's Hunchback of Notre Dame? And do you like Disney cartoon films? What's your favorite Disney animated film? Yeah, I don't remember loving the Notre Dame one for some reason. I don't know. I think I saw it, but I don't remember if I liked it that much. Disney animation film, probably Pinocchio. Always really liked that one a lot. Troll. What's your favorite zombie movie? When it comes to zombie movie, though, I like Return of the Living Dead, but also Day of the Dead. That's one that I watch all the time. Serious question. Or asking if I'm gay. No, I'm not. Some people like hide things like that and things like that. To me, if I was, why would I care? You know what I mean? Like, in this day and age too, I think everybody should be accepting. That's kind of my view on everything. Everybody should be accepting to everybody, and I know there's a lot of like religious things and all that kind of stuff, but like, to me, that's why I don't deal with all that stuff, because I like to be a nice person to people, and I think people can do whatever they want and live however they want, you know what I mean, as long as it's not hurting anybody, of course, you know what I mean, but like, that kind of stuff, who cares? You know what I mean? And as soon as people like kind of get over things like that, I think it's a step, and people have been, but I think that's just a step towards, things being even better in the world. Have you seen El Topo or Holy Mountain? For some reason, I did not like those. I think I watched them when I was younger or something, and I don't know if I thought they were something else, but I was watching them, I'm like, what is this? It was one of those experiences when maybe I had not watched a movie like that before, but I just could not get into them. I'm interested to know whether you have gained acting work by being on YouTube. By that I mean, has anyone come across your channel seen you work and offered you a role? That's actually how the Sasquatch movie and the Banshee one happened. Now, though, a lot of people, directors and stuff have seen, my videos and things like that. And, like, it's kind of depends. It's like sometimes people come to me with things. Other times they do it. There's no money for travel and things like that. So I can't do it. So that's the problem, though. Like, you know what I mean? You can't. do everything, and that's the downfall. At the same time, though, you can't be losing money. You know what I mean? If they can't get you there and pay you. What's the 411 MJ? Please don't skip my question. Here, the truth is, there is no 411 on them. I can't lie here. I don't know anything about them. You know what I mean? I'm going to have to send in smoker spies, like in Waterworld, to, like, spy, and then we'll all know what's going on. You know what I mean? Because I don't know. I have no idea. It's almost like your guess is as good as mine. Um, what's your favorite type of music do you like? Like, when it comes to, like, newer stuff, I really like the kind of music that was in Drive and things like that. Favorite ice cream flavor? I guess, like, cookie dough. I don't know if you will or not do a role in an Australian film. No, I'd love to go to Australia and do a movie. Like, that would be actually, like, dreams of going to, like, doing a movie in England and Australia and things like that. I know people do that, Americans and stuff. So I've always thought about that. What are your thoughts on the new Star Wars? I'm interested in seeing it. Like, I was never, like, the biggest fan of Star Wars. Like, I like the original ones the best, and I really like the last two original ones. For some reason, the first one, Star Wars, I don't know why I didn't get into that one. Um, top 5 Mortal Kombat characters. I don't remember them very well. I don't. What's your favorite horror movie franchise? I talked about that one earlier. What movie posters did you have on your bedroom wall when you were a kid? Some of them I still have. It's kind of crazy. Like, they haven't deteriorated. Like, I still have the Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey one. A lot of ones that I don't have anymore, like Ernest Goes to Camp. I don't think I have that anymore. I don't know if I have Ernest Scared Stupid up anymore. I think I do. I'm trying to remember, like, what I had as a kid. I don't know if I had that many posters as a kid. What's your favorite horror movie you remember watching as a kid? Wasn't really horror movie. What's that really horror movie? But I remember really watching The Witches, and I used to always leave the room every time the Grand High Witch scene happened when the one character takes off the face, and I mean that for me always freaked me out. What's your favorite horror movie from 2012 or 2013? That I'm never good at that. I'm never great at that. Got one. 8 tips on how to get back into acting. Trying to get back into acting and can't get my break. What should I do? Not many managers or agents in Ireland. Oh, and if anybody wants to follow me on Twitter, it's the Dean O'Neill. Yeah, I'm not sure about, like, I wouldn't know for Ireland how that works. I must feel like if you came, here or something, since you have an Irish accent, you'd get even more work. Firstly, I love your videos and your family, and you seem like such a nice, cool guy. Will you be doing any more around the towns with Gina Herman Duivo? I love those. What is your favorite super low-budget horror movies? I saw Wood Chip Massacre on your recommendation and loved it. Yeah, Wood Chip Massacre is such a fun shot-on-video movie like that. It's definitely a really fun one to watch. Like, some of those kind of ones, like when it comes to ultra-low-budget ones, that's like one of my top ones. Cannibal Campout, Video Violence, which has really, really good synth music. And I talked about the around the towns. Your favorite comedy films in the 70s and 80s? 70s comedies? I know for like 80s, like, National Lampoon's Vacation and, Uncle Buck, I think it was 89. There's just so many one. For some reason, I'm never good at coming up, right off out of my head like that. Your favorite zombie film? My favorite zombie film is zombie movie is Dawn of the Dead from George Romero. I have 24 different releases of this one. Wow. What to you is the best release, and how much have you got in your collection? Why is Dawn of the Dead so successful till President's Day? I think the one thing about Dawn of the Dead was there's something about, like, the setting too. Like, the mall setting is very, like, people like malls, especially like malls back then were so much cooler and had this kind of cool vibe to it. And I always love those kind of movies too when they're kind of self-contained and like 90% of the movie takes place in one place. There's just something about that that's just really pretty cool. That's why I like Day of the Dead as well. And I love those kind of movies. Like, I wish there was more movies set all in the malls. I think I know I have the original Blu-ray of that. I had the DVD. I mean the original DVD, the collection, with all the different cuts of the movie. Hopefully, all those come to Blu-ray at some point. I have the Blu-ray, but I had the director's cut VHS. I had the original VHS. I remember buying the director's cut at Saturday Matinee. If anyone remembers that place, that was I actually liked that place more than I liked Suncoast. That was like my all-time favorite video store. I think there's one left in the entire world. If anyone knows where that is, take some pictures. Um, does it ever insult you to think that movies like Girls Can Dead, you get stuck playing the nerd just because of the way you look? Is there any feel of being typecast? Not specifically. Like, to me, it doesn't really matter. You know what I mean? Like, because I've gotten to play different kind of things too, and sometimes it's kind of funny to do that kind of stuff because a lot of people who have been like talk about that movie, people remember that. You know what I mean? Like, they remember that scene in that movie, like random like Jersey Mike's. The guy's like, "Were you in this?" And the sun and the Taco Bell and stuff. Like, so when people like recognize you from it, to me, that's a successful thing. So if it kind of is a weird part, but people remember it, that to me is better than being something that could be forgettable. Since you like the UK version of In-Betweeners, what were your thoughts on the American? I didn't even want to, give that the time of day, the American one. What's your favorite Ernest movie? I don't know, probably Ernest Goes to Camp is like my all-time favorite one. Then Ernest Goes to Jail and Ernest Scared Stupid. Those are the ones that I watch all the time. How did you get into acting? How was your first experience? Oh yeah, like I said, the first thing came from YouTube, and it was the Banshee, and that was a interesting experience. I remember though that was when I was working at the movie theaters, and that experience, I don't know, like it was like the first time I was doing that, and I should have planned it better the way I handled things because I worked the night before till midnight, and the train. And we had to end up getting on the train to leave for Connecticut at like 5 o'clock in the morning. So I got back at midnight. I didn't end up falling asleep because I was still getting things in order and couldn't really sleep that much. I was kind of nervous about it. So I probably like laid down and slept for like 45 minutes, 35 minutes maybe. And then I couldn't sleep on the train because it was the first time I'd ever gone up to Connecticut. So I was kind of afraid of falling asleep on the train and missing the stop. So I remember I was like dead, and that's, when I got there. So then I had to end up like sleeping in the hotel for like a couple hours before because and I was in this really cool comic book movie store called like, they used to have it in Connecticut in one of the malls, but I don't remember what it's called. Anybody might remember it. It's like this really, really specifically to that area, and maybe only like one or two of them left. But I don't know, it just kind of sucked that happened. Like, I couldn't enjoy that store because I was just, But anyway, though, we're up to 53 minutes, so I probably better stop this. So I'll save this, through the questions and get through the rest next time. But anyway, though, guys, thanks a lot for watching, for subscribing, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.